What were they thinking when they designed this? I don't get it. A lot of people say this is a character flaw. I've mentioned I wanted to fix it, and people think I'm crazy. It's like, well, that's part of the character of the car. Well, sometimes you gotta change the character. So I don't like this at all. I've talked about it in the past, and I've debated on whether I want to change it because it's a lot of work, but I just have to. So, welcome back to the show, and this episode I'm going to address this flaw that is on the side of the fender and how it doesn't line up to the hood. I will show you how this side is. I haven't touched it, and I've actually roughed in the other side, and I'll show you what it should look like and should have been the way it came from the factory. This is the issue right here. It is 3/4 of an inch underneath there, and it's smooth here. So from here back, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse until there's just this big, huge gap that I just think looks terrible. So I contemplated on fixing it. I've talked about it a lot over the past 2 years since I started working on this. And I'm just going to do it. So what my plan was, and what I actually did on the other side, was to cut this panel and pull it out and then re-weld it. That was a great idea until I started to cut it on the other side, and there's a big brace here for tying the fender and bolting it to the cowl. So I don't want to disturb that for 2 reasons. One, the structural integrity, and 2, the way it all ties together, it would just look goofy if I cut that brace, and there's a whole lot of work that I'd have to go into reinforcing that brace and making it look right. So I came up with another idea. Basically, I made this panel, which will replace that area just like that. So essentially, I'm just going to leave this area, weld this over top of it, slice this area, and bring this panel out. I'll take you to the other side and I'll show you how it looks. So this is the other side that I've done already. I've cut along this panel here. I cut along this way. I cut up this way, and then I have put in this little panel. And then when I bring this out, I welded it here. I still have to go back to the back side now and weld along that seam. I had to do it along this way. I really didn't have a choice. And welding to that inside corner and then grinding it is really a pain in the butt, and it's very difficult to get a good weld. So welding it from the back side on the rest of that area, I will get a much better finish and appearance, as well as the strength and integrity of that area. Now let me open up the hood. So now you can see with the hood open, I was able to make this area all the same width to meet up with the edge of the hood, and it gives a better appearance for this area as well. So you can see on this side, this wedge shape, as it wedges all the way down, it vibrated and cracked here, so you can see where I welded that. So I will have to grind that, and then I will weld this seam too to stiffen up the fender. And then I've cut and bent this piece to where it will butt weld right along the top of that fender, and you can see here where that brace is and where it's mounted to the firewall. So that, in a way, will even strengthen it more. It'll tie it into the fender, and then I need to cut down along here and cut along here the way I did on the other side. So I'll walk you through that. It's pretty simple, and then I will have to pull the whole front end of this off. I'll need to pull off the hood and full front fenders, get into the back side of these areas and weld it and reinforce it. And then these pieces, I want to fill this gap as well, so that when the hood is open, this is really clean and closed up. And I'll also have to open up this gap, because this gap got pretty big on both sides, because I dropped the whole nose of this almost an inch by cutting the brace that holds the radiator core support on, lowering that whole nose down. It just made everything fit better. It made the hood fit better, the way it lined up with the grill. There was a whole lot of great benefits that just kind of fell together. But again, it ended up opening up this gap. So I'll need to split that fender, bring it back, and then refill it. Need to trim this little piece off right there, and then I'm a little bit bent. This is 18 gauge, so it's pretty easy to work with. So now, if everything goes as planned, I'll be able to just tack this in a couple of spots, then go to the round of the back side once I pull this fender off, and completely burn it in. And then I can, yeah, this is a perfect fit. So I'll be able to weld this in around the edges. Do a little fillet weld here. Pretty simple. And then when I get into the back side, there's going to be a void in here, and this is all going to be bare metal. I've got some primer that you use for filling inside of like quarter panels and inside of frames. It's got a little wand on it, a little hose, and I can spray all up inside of this once I get it welded. I could use weld through primer, but you burn through the primer, and in a pinch spot right here where that's welded and where the primer ends up losing all of its integrity, by using a spray-in type for a cavity, I'll be able to coat all the inside of this and it'll be protected. Okay, let's get out the welder. Exactly what I wanted. So now I just got to go burn all the rest of it around. I want a better butt weld right here. It's too tight, so I need to open up, put a little bit of a gap in there, so I'll just slice it. And then once I get it all burned in, I'll get a flat wheel, like this one, and grind all that off. Alright, I have this all welded in on this side now. I still have to go back in and weld in the inside. Got it pretty smooth. I'm very happy with that. It lines up really well. I'm needing to bring the hood in just a little bit. I have a pretty good gap here, but when I push that in, looks great. Got my gap good here. I can bring this panel up a little bit to close up this gap. So I'm really excited with the way this has turned out. So my next step then, I would like to reinforce this bottom side of the hood. It's pretty thin. It looks like an 18 gauge metal, and it's just bent over. There's no reinforcing. There's a reinforcement piece right here on the back side and around the nose, but there's nothing in between. So I'll probably use some bar stock like this, where I can weld this on the inside of the hood, and then I want to weld on a little bracket for a gas strut. I removed the bar that is the hood support. I just think that's tacky, and to be able to put a nice gas shock that'll hold the hood up, don't need a bar, it's just a real nice upgrade. So I'll be doing that, and I still need to do the gas cap. I talked about modifying that. The old gas tank hose just stuck out the side of it with a rubber grommet, and you stuck a cap on it. While I'm doing all this, I might as well improve that too. So I've come up with a really nice piece, little flush mount, kind of a hidden gas cap. So I'm excited to work on that. I've kind of got that roughed in too, so I'll show that. And man, I think that's it for all the major body work. At this point, it's just a matter of doing some filler work. I've got some of these seams. I want to do some metal to metal type reinforced, so that doesn't crack, even though I've got it stitch welded really well. Yeah, this has come along great. And just high build primer and a whole lot of sanding. Just really flatten this thing out. It's going to be show quality finish when this is all finished. It's looking good. All right, well, stay tuned for the future. I'll keep doing updates as I can. Oh yeah, and I've got a lot of work still to do on the dash. I keep forgetting about the dash, but if you like what I'm doing, give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.